Netflix is doing everything they can to prevent negative stories from trending about Stranger Things. And why? Well, folks, what if we told you that we've got the data for how much bigger Stranger Things is than even K-pop demon hunters? And I dare say, if you're like us, it will blow your mind. Hello and welcome back. It is a pleasure. It is true, folks. It is true. We have news for you, and we can't wait to bring it to you. We've got some good stuff. We've got some great stuff you probably have never seen before in regards to just how big this season of Stranger Things is and why Netflix will stop at nothing. They will do anything, everything they can to stop some of these trending or potentially trending stories that would do grave damage to the show and its stars. We'll talk about them. We'll show them to you along with the info. Click the like button, and here we go. You know, the fellas and the gals at Netflix, they're getting a little worried because there's some stories coming out and they want them to not happen. And there's a good reason for them to not happen in terms of Netflix's business strategy here. I'm going to get to the stories that are worrying Netflix in just a minute. This is not the only one, and the other one might worry them even more. But for you to understand just what a big deal Netflix is and why they don't want any bad things to happen, okay? We're going to take a look at a graph that shows you just how big, just how phenomenally, amazingly big Stranger Things is becoming for them in this final season. Are you ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, take a look. If you go to how Stranger Things has been performing, if you look back to season 4, okay? Season 4 was a big deal. Season 4 was just massive in terms of viewership, hit 100%. Well, guess what? This one, season 5, the finale, is on the rise and it's not coming down yet, okay? You see this one? You see how it's just teeny weeny itty bitty leveled off there? This thing is likely to eclipse, and it's going to keep growing and growing because they got 3 levels of this. And whereas season 4 dropped, we're going towards a season finale, which means this thing's going up, 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 up. And that means there's a ton riding on this thing for Netflix. This is the most expensive TV series on streaming ever made. Single episodes of this show have movie sorts of budgets. All right? We're talking lots of money involved. So what's going on? Because Netflix has done a pretty darn good job of shutting up its stars with divisive stuff. They've kept the David Harbour and Millie Bobby Brown stuff quiet. But guess what? This Maya Hawke thing about, you know, her sibling who didn't get to breathe air. Okay, that's the best way I can put this on YouTube. She's done this thing over and over again. I don't know if you've all seen this trending. I'll read this the best I can from Kata Balzano out of Narcity. Stranger Things actress Maya Hawke had a lot to say about the rights to do with reproduction and the end of Roe on Wednesday during a passionate appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. The actress, whose parents are Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke, revealed that she likely wouldn't have been born if Thurman hadn't ended the progression of her pregnancy, which is, of course, Maya's sibling. There's just one thing about this, folks. You've seen this trending everywhere, right? She's doing this thing again. This is from 2022. Maya didn't learn. This trended back 3 years ago. She's back again. There's another story out there, and I want you to see this, okay? This one is perhaps a little bit more damaging, and I can't play it. All I can do is tell you that in this clip, the Duffer brothers, who are over here, they're talking with Sadie Sink, and this came out 3 years ago also. And they talk about, again, we can't play it. They're talking about how when she was told that she was going to kiss a co-star, and it wasn't in the script, that she protested as a 14 or 15-year-old that she didn't want to do that, it wasn't in the script, blah, blah, blah. And that basically then they said to themselves, oh, well, then she's definitely going to do it. Which is really weird and strange, and the comments are not kind to these guys, and people are not liking the way he's looking at her. I don't know. I don't want to get too far into it. You know, maybe it's all benign. I don't know. But there are these stories going around right now that are being regurgitated from years ago. And I'm telling you, Netflix, Netflix has done a pretty good job of clamping down on stuff that could destroy Stranger Things. But they got to be a little bit worried now, because I think the Sadie Sink thing now trending again, especially in the era that we're in. You know, they got through the Millie Bobby Brown deal with David Harbour. They've done their best to make nice, even though it's been confirmed that she did the report against him. They got through this other thing with the Hawk girl. Okay, yeah, it's joke on purpose. But the Sadie Sink thing this is the one that's coming back around again, and I think they need to be a little bit nervous about the Duffer Brothers teasing this girl that because she protested, they made her kiss a co-star for the show at 14. They don't want this. They need this show to win. It's huge for them. And this is the one thing that I think could take them off the rails a little.
Yeah, this is a really interesting situation. It seems that, as you said, that we had the David Harbour, Millie Bobby Brown situation, and that kind of was swept under the rug really well. And then we have this Maya Hawke situation, which is like, nobody cares. Nobody needs to hear about this. But this Sadie Sink thing. Now, the clip that you were referencing is actually from Beyond Stranger Things, which is a roundtable show that they did at the end of season 2. And I believe they had the whole thing. It was out and available after the show had aired.
And it's why we can't play it, because it's copyrighted and held by Netflix.
Well, strike the channel, folks. We can't play it. And here is in the context of that clip, and when you watch it, and when you study and understand the relationship that the Duffers and all of the kids have together, is that they've all kind of grown up together, and the Duffers watch these kids grow up. They have a very different dynamic of relationship. The Duffers, if you paid attention to everything that they said from season 1 all the way to now, they did try to create very, very safe environments for these kids to work in. Like they did try, and that in the context that it's being presented, it's unsettling. It's unsettling to say the least, but it's kind of an almost an endearing thing where they were like, "Hey, this is something that she seemed uncomfortable with, but we were going to do it we were going to just do it anyway." And it seems like they wanted to do it anyway, like the script originally was going to call for it. A lot of this seems like it was a joke.
Yeah, and the thing is, it can get out of hand sometimes. I haven't had any indications the Duffer Brothers are bad guys. What I'm saying here is, you got to give props to Netflix in terms of how they have managed the controversies. I mean, you got this thing with Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour, and they're acting, they're just buddies, they're just pals. And meanwhile, we're finding out she filed a report against him, and it's been, confirmed, at least I believe it has, confirmed that she did so years ago. But they're buddies, they're pals now. And it's been fascinating watching all this play out. There's so much riding on this. Outside of K-pop Demon Hunters, there's nothing quite as important. They have spent so many hundreds of millions of dollars on this show. In fact, if you add up the various seasons, they're probably over $1 billion in production costs alone on Stranger Things. They need people to watch this show for years to come. And right now, they're winning. And they're winning big time, and I'm all for it. They got to keep their stars, like Mrs. Hawk or whatever her name is, Miss Hawk. They got to stop them from saying stupid stuff for another year. Just stop it. 6 months. Don't say any dumb stuff so this thing can win. That's the goal here. And so far, they're playing their cards right.
Yeah, watching this, the study around this particular story you have on Screen Pro is fascinating to anybody that follows entertainment news. The fact, like, this could have shattered Stranger Things. The Millie Bobby Brown, David Harbour relationship, it's completely fictional. They're not really friends. They're not close.
Daddy-daughter dynamic, is weird behind the scenes. She's afraid of him. Weird,
but he's not nice. He's not a nice guy. Like, that could have shattered this show.
And could damage Marvel with him in the Marvel stuff. You're exactly right, Wiz. I mean, this is like Pedro all over again. Lauren seems a little skeptical of us, though. Lauren, what do you think?
I completely disagree. Almost 100%.
I knew he was skeptical. See, I've come to find out what that face means.
Look, we follow this stuff. People that are really tuned into movies and TV shows, they follow that stuff. Most people don't care. Stranger Things is a freight train. I don't think anything could derail it at this point, save a bad ending. If you had something happen like Game of Thrones, that could maybe derail it.
Lauren, are you watching this season?
I haven't yet. No.
There's a theory out there. I'm not endorsing this, but there's a theory that what could be happening is at the end, it turns out this was just a giant Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yep.
That came to be. I would not feel satisfied with that ending.
There's actually some fairly compelling clues that may be the case, but
Wizard's face is like, I'll go to Netflix myself.
But
Gonna lose it.
I mean, I've read some of those theories, and I think there's some compelling evidence that may be the case. But either way, I don't think anything could derail Stranger Things at this point. Now, back in the day, had the news come out then, when she filed the complaint, then maybe it could have been derailed. But at this point, no. We're the only ones paying attention to this.
Steve, should Bob Iger hire whoever's at Netflix handling this? Because it's a masterclass in PR control.
See, I think that there is truth to that, right? In that Disney never handles any of these issues properly. They only put gasoline on the fire. Whereas Netflix, they just kind of let these things dispel themselves organically. And so there's a lot of benefits to just kind of letting a public thing run its course, right? It's the whole drop the cycle on the Friday, or the information on the Friday, and let it do its thing on the weekend, so that Monday you kind of hit the ground running. And Netflix, they just kind of take that approach. Whereas Disney, they will then get all the other stars to kind of make their statement being like, no, I love this person. And it becomes the Streisand effect. And so everyone's now looking at this topic. Right,
because Disney had the Snow White thing. If they'd had the Netflix PR person, they could have nipped that in the bud.
Theoretically. And I mean, again, kind of to Lauren's point, like that was enough of a dumpster fire in and of itself that there was nothing that was going to save that. But I think when we overall look at some of the issues, the big thing is too, the public just doesn't have a taste for this stuff anymore. They're really done with it.
The American public is over the drama. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like they've moved past the whole. Sorry, they shouldn't say they've moved past. And when we say America, I go broader with North America because
I know I said that to zing you.
Well, we don't have a culture.
He's a Canadian, folks. Just for those of you who don't know, and that's what we're getting at here.
We don't have a culture. We are just pseudo-American. Anyway, the taste for this stuff, everyone's just kind of done with it because it was so overexploited, and so people are naturally not necessarily averting from it, but they immediately question the legitimacy of the claims now. And I mean, when it's something super credible and you have the evidence, the public jumps on board really quick.
Yep.
And in these instances, from what I can tell, and I've not been following it very closely, so I could be absolutely wrong. There's not a lot of credibility to some of these claims that have been made. And so it's just people conjecturing about and trying to put their own theories on what's actually
hypothesizing, Steve. That's the scientific.
That's what I was looking for. And so I think that there's just a general just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Like, it's Hollywood. We expect them to be weird with kids. So
let's talk about one of the controversies that's in the show itself. Tom, are you a Stranger Things guy? Paging Tom.
Not really. I saw the first season and I never really got back to it. And part of the problem has just been the whole, taking so much time in between the seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, the show's been on for like 8 years and the kids are already in college.
Yeah, they'll be in assisted living if this thing keeps on going. Tom, there's a scene, though, in this new one where there's a demon guy. His name's Vecna, and he does something with a kid, but it's being promoted in certain social media circles as something that I don't think it really is. I don't think that's going anywhere. I don't think that's going to derail the show at all. I'm not sure why some personalities out there, we can't describe what they're saying is happening on YouTube. It just won't work. But they're saying that it was inappropriateness. I don't sense that that's what Netflix, I think Netflix has learned their lesson there from a few years ago with a show called Cuties. Is that, Tom, you think there's any movement happening there in social media based on your read of it, or is that just going to fizzle out?
Are you talking about that weird accusation thing?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes a pipe is just a pipe, right? Isn't that what,
Well, in this case, sometimes
Freud
a tentacle is definitely not anything else but a tentacle.
Yeah, and I don't know. I haven't seen the scene. I can't comment on it. I mean, there's probably a dozen other things that I think you could probably go to before that, maybe. I don't know. As far as like a relation to cuties or anything like that, I don't think Netflix gives a crap. I mean, they've made it pretty clear that they will put on anything and it doesn't matter, right? Like, it goes both ways, right? Like, they supported Chappelle and they also supported cuties. Now, I don't agree with it.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
The CEO even came out and basically said something along the lines of, we will show anything for anybody. Our audience is everybody, kind of thing. So, that being said, I'm sure they're well aware, though, that Stranger Things is their most popular show.
By
I don't
far.
even think and there hasn't been anything to this point that anybody's said to lead me to believe the Duffer Brothers have some kind of agenda, right? So, and the last thing they need is any more controversy, because you guys already brought up the David Harbour stuff. So, like,
right, they've managed it.
Yeah,
they've managed it amazingly well. And Ron, one of the difficulties is, when you're working with kids, you got to be extraordinarily cautious, especially if they're going to be growing up with you in season after season, because things get messy and kids are kids, and so you just have to be extraordinarily cautious. I think they've done a pretty darn good job over the years, until something comes out and I take it all back. I think they've done a pretty good job.
Well, I saw something earlier today, and I thought the latest controversy was the fact that 11 now looks like she's 40 years old, which I don't think it's true. But
that was last year's controversy. You're a little late to the party.
I guess I'm late to the party on that.
Millie is a beautiful young woman. Okay, we wish Millie well. She's a married lady now, trying to play a high schooler in Stranger Things. Yeah,
it's and I don't think that she looks 40, but to be fair, I think there's a lot of 40-year-olds that look like they're 25 these days. It's all over the place with the way people look. But
Ron, quit bragging about yourself now. We've heard enough of that.
I think that Netflix, as far as the controversy, I mean, yes, you don't hear stuff even when there is the stuff that comes out, you don't hear it like you do in regards to Disney stuff. But when you take the Rachel Zegler example, it repeated time after time after time. It wasn't just one thing. It was that she kept doubling down and tripling down, and then it became it went from the Snow White character and how the 37 version was now irrelevant to now I'm going to inject myself into global politics as a 20-something-year-old who has no idea about global politics, but now I'm injecting myself into it. It got really crazy. And another thing about that is she was the star of a live action remake from the classic that made the Disney company what the Disney company is today. It's a much bigger, I think, huger thing in culture overall than Stranger Things, which, while it is big, it's new. So it's like different. Stranger Things is creating itself right now. I'm with Tom as far as watching it. I watched the first season, and I think I got somewhere through the second season and kind of personally lost interest in it. It wasn't really for me as much, but I understand why people are interested in it because it hits a lot of buttons, and I guess it's a fun and compelling story to watch. As far as Netflix is concerned, if you do remember the last big show controversy that they had to handle, House of Cards, that was like, maybe they learned their lesson from what happened with House of Cards, and they just kind of have gone forward and known how to handle things since that. Because I was a huge House of Cards fan, and when all that stuff went down with that actor, it was a bit bizarre. Kevin Spacey, yeah.
Well, let me show you why.
Bizarre, but then maybe they learned from it.
Let me show you why. We're going to end on a very high note. No tricks being pulled here. This is Google Trends. I've held this till the end. I want to show you why Stranger Things has to succeed. It cannot fail. They have to do everything they can to protect it. You ready? Look at this. K-pop Demon Hunters is the hottest thing movie-wise until Zootopia landed. Maybe that's now bigger. I don't know. But K-pop Demon Hunters is the biggest movie ever on Netflix. K-pop Demon Hunters has taken over the culture. This is the Google searches for K-pop Demon Hunters in red versus Stranger Things. This is a massive, massive IP for Netflix. And they're not done with it. There's no way they can be done with it. I don't know if they're going to go to animated or what, but they're going to do something because that is remarkable. So if you wonder why they've got the greatest PR team ever assembled in history to keep this thing safe, that's it, man. That is it. They cannot let it lose. And folks, we have come to the end yet again. Another video of excellence in the can. What a joy it has been to share time with you. We hope you enjoyed it as well. If so, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. And as always, drop a comment down below. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. Join a community dialogue today, just on down below. Folks, we are going to say farewell for now, but we will see you back. 4 is more, and that's how many videos we put out every single day here on the Pro Channel. Hope you enjoy them all. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.